you purchased an RS3 Pro, I am excited for you because you are going to get incredible shots with this gimbal. Shots that I couldn't get when I first started out. This lesson is about basic assembly, getting the firmware updated, stuff like that. And then in the next lesson, we'll balance it with the camera on, your lens, etc. A little side note, once you unpack stuff from the bag that it comes in, you'll never put it back in here. At least I don't. Here's why. When you get your gimbal assembled and balanced, it has a really cool feature where you can just hit a button and it flattens out and packs itself up, but it will not fit in that mode with your camera on and all that stuff. So it's a huge time waste to disassemble it and put it back in here only to reassemble and rebalance. That takes a lot of time. So I never use this again. I get a Pelican case that I can lay it in and go from there. Okay, for this lesson, here's what we need. We need the stand. These legs fold out, right? We need the battery handle and then the gimbal itself. Your battery handle will need to have a charge on it. So if you look on the side, there's a little button with lights. Push that and it'll show you how much charge there is. If you need to charge it, you just need a USB-C cable. And on the front here, there's a little door that opens and you just plug the cable into there and then plug it into any power source and you can charge it, right? Next, like if you have something for your iPad or phone. Next, the other thing you're going to need is you're going to need to install the DJI Ronin app on your phone because this is how we update the firmware. So this is very straightforward. This screws into the bottom. Stable, stand just like that. Now on the gimbal itself, you'll have some rubber coverings on here that you can take off the bottom one, but you want to move this little switch to the unlock if it's not already there. And then you'll see metal connectors that line up with each other. And it will kind of move over to the lock position. You can just nudge that to make sure it's there and you're good to go. If you want to take that off for any reason, you move it to unlock and then push the button and there it goes, okay? So that's what it should look like when you've got it together. Now before we power it on, we need to unlock the 3 access points or the gimbal's going to gripe at you. And we go over these access points in detail in the next lesson, but here they are. Right there is the roll. Okay. This is the tilt. It should let that move. And then we have pan over here. So I'll unlock all 3. And now we can power this on with the little power button right here. Okay. Now, if your gimbal shakes or wobbles when you first power it on, it shouldn't if this is the first time you're turning it on. But if for any reason it does, the top left icon is what you want to push. And just click Start Calibration, and that will tell it to balance out. Mine will shake like this when I first power it on because the last time I balanced it, I had a camera on, and so it thinks that that's still on there, and then it doesn't feel right. So just a side note, you shouldn't run into that if this is your first boot up. All right, so with the app on your phone, you're going to be able to see this, and you can connect to this gimbal. And mine is already connected, but it should be pretty straightforward depending on the version of app that you get. This just has to be on and close by, and you need to have Bluetooth turned on your phone, and you'll be able to connect to it. You'll know you're connected when you can go to the top left of the menu, go to Device List, and it'll show your gimbal serial number, etc. Okay? Now with that, once it's connected, if there's a firmware update, it's going to show up at the top of the app, as it does for mine right here. So I'm just going to click Update, and I'm going to say Update Now. And it says Downloading and Updating. 79%, we're getting there. A little side note while we're waiting. You'll definitely want to make sure your gimbal does not run out of battery power while you're doing a firmware update. This applies to all electronics in general, computers, etc. If you run out of power during a firmware update, typically the device will be unusable. That's not a good situation. So if it was low, charge it first, or at least have the battery handle plugged in to power while you're doing this. Firmware update complete. And I also have to confirm it on the display here, and then we're good to go. So I can just power this down, and this is a feature with the RS3. The RS2 didn't do that. It's really nice because when it'll do that with your camera and lens on and everything. And then I just take it when I want to pack it up, unlock it, and lay it, the whole thing, in the Pelican case. And then when I want to shoot again, it's just a fast assembly without having to do a lot of work putting things together. And that's also going to make balancing it much easier. It should still be in balance unless you took things off your configuration. So the next lesson is going to teach you a lot more on how to do this. We've got more than one lesson following this, but I want to say a couple other things. Again, if you see this icon up here turning orange or you feel it shaking, it means it needs to be calibrated. So that's the top left icon. And then when you have it on, if you try to move your camera, it's going to fight against you. So you need to have it off if you're like changing things on your camera, because the motors are going to fight against you. It wastes batteries, not good on the motors, etc. And actually that's pretty much it for now. So without further ado, I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you in the next Ronin RS3 Pro gimbal lesson very soon.